And I can see actually that it's very easy to do, so that means it's going to be really tender. So of course if you go a beast of an octopus, you might want to do your potato slightly bigger. Ciao and welcome to Tortellino time. Octopus and potato salad is an iconic and classic either starter or side dish in many Italian restaurants. And that is exactly what I'll be doing today. Also, it is a typical dish which is often cooked in the evening by many Sicilians or Southern Italians. And it is very simple to make. All you'll need is potatoes, an octopus, as we're making an octopus salad, of course. I will be also using some olives and a little clove of garlic, lemon, and salt and pepper, olive oil, and some parsley, which I keep in the freezer, so I'll get it out as and when. But let's talk about the octopus first. They are fascinating animals. This is something which we purchased from the supermarket, and it was frozen and has already been gutted, but it's got the eyes are somewhere here. There you go, they're here, and I will not be removing them until after it's cooked. And also the same applies to the bottom, which is still in there. Again, it's much easier to remove it afterwards. The head has been emptied and it's been gutted, and this weighs about half a kilo, just over a half a kilo. And look, they are really interesting to look at, aren't they?
Well, I find it interesting because I love this salad, but I'm not sure. Not sure everybody will be so appreciative. Bless him.
So I've got a pot of water which is now boiling, and I'll start by adding a good pinch of salt, and I'll pick him up, and I will be dipping it in the water on and off. So in he goes, and I'll pull him out.
Ooh!
And you see that it's curling, and out he comes again. Dipping the octopus in boiling water a few times make the tentacles curl up, as you can see, and that is because the proteins tightens instantly. Also, this helps with the skin to stay intact, and it gives that signature shape as it is doing now. So about 8 or 9 times, and then you let him go. I'll put the lid on and I'll leave it to simmer for approximately 15 minutes. As a rule of thumb, an octopus which weighs 1 kilo should be cooking for about 30 minutes, so I'm halving the time to 15. Something like this is simmering very gently. Mine is on a medium-low at the moment. Another important ratio is the amount of potatoes that you cook with octopus. If you go to an Italian restaurant, you will find a lot more potatoes than octopus, for obvious reasons. But generally, a good standard is to do as many potatoes as much as the octopus weighs. So in this particular case today, I'll be doing half a kilo of potatoes.
Gosh, you can smell it now, can't you?
Also, something else to bear in mind is the size of the potatoes, and personally I like to match the potatoes to the same size as the octopus, as and when it will be chopped later. So I'm not gonna go with very large pieces today because it's only a small octopus, half a kilo. So I'm doing the potatoes broadly the same size as to what the octopus is going to be. I will share a little tip with you next, and this is to do with the potatoes. As they are, I'll pick them up and put them in cold water first, like this. This is because I want some of the starches to be released before I cook them. Otherwise, when they are mixed with the octopus, they'll become very fluffy, not good to look at, and they need to be nice and firm. I've left them in water for a couple of minutes, and I'm going to drain them now. And I will also rinse them under the tap for about 30 seconds. And I'll cook them just like if you were making a normal potato salad. Ensure that you do not overcook them, as we don't want them to be too fluffy. 15 minutes is over. I'll turn the heat off and I'll leave the lid on, and after boiling I will not touch now for 15 minutes, the same amount of time that it took for it to boil over. So if your octopus was big and you cooked say for 30 minutes, leave it for 30 minutes as well. These 15 minutes will allow the fibers to relax and they will be considerably tender. Potatoes are done. I've just drained them, and I'll put them in a glass bowl first. And if I get a skewer to show you what I meant, the skewer will go through, and they are perfectly cooked but not fluffy. I'll put this on one side to cool down, and I'll get our octopus out. And there he or she, Julie refers to it as she, I refer to it as he.
She's so pretty, that's why.
But this is still very hot, so I'm going to remove from the water and I'll put it on this little plastic board, and I'm going to leave it for another 10 minutes so that it is safe for me to handle it. Also, Julie, can you zoom on the water here? See this water here? This is absolutely perfect if you wanted to boil potatoes. I could have actually done the potatoes into this water, but they would have looked very pretty color-wise.
No.
But if you were to boil potatoes in octopus water and make a potato salad, they taste absolutely delicious. And while I wait, I'll get on with the marinade. So a little clove of garlic, I'll crush it onto my board using a garlic crusher. Garlic is an optional ingredient in this. Not everybody uses it, so if you are not keen on garlic, you don't have to put it in. But if you like it, definitely put it in. Potato and octopus salad, you must have some parsley, so a generous handful of parsley goes in. This is parsley which I keep in the freezer. I freeze it when it's fresh and it stays fresh, but that's why it's making some crunchy noise. But if you got fresh parsley, even better, but this is a very good compromise. And I'm mixing the garlic now with the parsley. And to ensure that everything is combined well together, I'll just go over with my knife just to finish it off. 5 more minutes and we'll be ready to chop the octopus. Little paring knife, and I'll cut around the bottom and remove this part here. And as it is cooked, it comes up very, very easily. See, you don't want that.
What is that, dare I ask?
Well, you can only guess, and this is a nice and clean bottom.
Lovely.
And the next thing were the eyes. Here they are. So again, as it is cooked, it's going to be considerably easier. And just take them off, and they come off very, very easily. There he goes. You must have watched something like I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. They eat this stuff all the time.
Uncooked as well.
Uncooked, yes. To start slicing, I always start by removing the head, and I'll go along and separate each tentacle like this. And I can see actually that it's very, very easy to do, so that means it's going to be really tender. So here is my potato to give you an idea of proportionality, and I'll go along and chop each tentacle slightly the same size of the potatoes. So of course, if you go a beast of an octopus, you might want to do your potato slightly bigger.
Am I right in saying if you had a big octopus it would be tougher? Is that how it works?
No, you would cook it for longer.
And it would still be this tender?
It still would be this tender. Also, you would cook it for longer, and you would let it rest for longer, and it will be just as tender. Another tip, by the way, is, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, if you buy a fresh octopus, you're better off freezing it first for 48 hours and then let it defrost and cook it. And you will find that it's considerably more tender than cooking it from fresh. I think it's the same rationale about the fibers, that the extreme cold makes them go all very, very tough, and then they really relax. And that sudden change in temperature really, really helps in making it much, much more tender. The head is cleaned as we've seen already, so again, similar size like this. And I'll move my octopus in a separate bowl. You might be wondering, why am I not mixing them together? I'll show you. Because these potatoes here, as I said to you before, we want to keep them whole and not fluffy. If I was to mix them together and give them a shake, I would have pretty much wasted all of my time in trying to retain the shape of the potatoes. And I'm going to show you a little tip on how to retain a beautiful shape of potato. I'll start by putting some salt in my potatoes. I will not put any on the octopus as I salted the water. A little pepper in both my potatoes and my octopus. A little olive oil, again potatoes, and a little olive oil in the octopus. Olives, very, very optional. Not everybody put them in, but I do. I think it's a shame not to. These are pitted green olives. You can use unpitted olives if you like, or black olives. It's entirely up to you. My olives also have got the odd bit of some dried tomatoes. That is incidental, so do not need to go and buy some dried tomatoes. It's just because they're there. I'll pick up half of my parsley and garlic and put it in the potatoes. And likewise, I'll do the same with the octopus. And I'll mix my potatoes very gently so that I do not spoil them. And I'll do the same with the octopus. Pick the potatoes and add them in. And I'll mix it once again. And I'll swap and I'll do it once again in here. I'm not using a spoon because that would damage the potatoes, whereas by doing it gently like this, everything will combine beautifully without spoiling my potatoes. One last time, and this time I'm going to be cleaning my bowl from any residues of oil and parsley I like, so that I don't waste any.
Smells yummy.
And this is ready to be dished up. Generally, to dish this up, you put a little lemon on the side of your plate. Nearly there, one final drizzle of olive oil and a little lemon zest. This will make the dish really, really nice to taste and look at. I got some lemon in there, but I will squeeze a little anyway, and then we can taste some. This is a dish which my sister Anna often makes. It's one of her party tricks, and so I decided to make it today. It's perfect. It's lovely and tender, and the lemon I've added is absolutely beautiful. I want to try also a potato, because that will have been infused with the octopus. I don't know why I want to blow it, because it's not hot. Habit.
In fact, we'll put it in the fridge now, won't we, and have it later when it's cooler.
They're lovely, and really the whole thing is delicious and very refreshing. As Julie said, it will go in the fridge and we will eat in about an hour. The cooler the better, but already everything is almost at room temperature, so you can eat it as it is. So buon appetito if you make it, and really, really delicious. If you've never tried octopus and you are not too sure, try it like this, and then you will see what you'll be missing out on. Arrivederci, grazie, and see you later. Ciao ciao.